With Surface Duo 2's full unveiling only a few short days away, I thought it would be fun to sit down and talk about today what Surface Duo 2 needs to do to succeed in 2021 and beyond. Now, the first thing that we need to do is we need to look quickly at how did Surface Duo 1 go? How did Surface Duo Uno perform in the real world? And the answer, put briefly, is pretty badly. This thing did not sell particularly well. Obviously, it was completely unable to break into the mainstream in any significant way. And the first reason for that was, of course, because those initial reviews by people that, you know, the vast public does trust, these reviews went really, generally very poorly. You know, people like MKBHD liked the hardware, hated the software. Maybe hated's too strong of a word. Go back and watch his review, but didn't care for the device. One of my personal favorites, Mr. Mobile, similar thing, saw the potential, couldn't possibly recommend it based on the software experience. And this story is repeated ad nauseum. Pretty much everybody that reviewed this thing said, man, potential's here, but it's just not here yet. It's not been brought to fruition just yet. And some reviews were extremely negative. Some reviewers had no idea what to make of Surface Duo and took a great big dump on that device from day one. So that happened right off the bat, and pretty much what we were left with, people buying Surface Duo, were only the most ardent of fans, the people that truly understood and wanted a dual screen device and could overlook the various warts on the face, if you will, of Surface Duo. And that was a pretty small group of people. Let's be honest, that's a niche of a niche at best. And unfortunately, things didn't really get better as the life cycle went on. There just continued to be a bad vibe around Surface Duo because things didn't get fixed, things didn't get added, nothing really changed. Some of the early bugs did seem to go away, but more bugs were brought in. Software never really caught up to the hardware. And 1 year later, we're in this weird place where the potential is still there. But man, have we gotten any closer towards actually realizing that potential? No, I would argue we really have not. So the first thing Surface Duo 2 needs to do to succeed is it needs to hit the ground running. The reviews have to be pretty good right out of the gate. And what that means is Android 11 on Surface Duo, which is what we're going to be getting, needs to be polished. I know this is crazy to say this, but the biggest software company to ever exist needs to do one thing with Surface Duo 2 off the bat, and that is get software correct. Do I have faith that they will do this? I don't know, but that's extraordinarily important. These reviewers need to be able to open Surface Duo 2 and be greeted by a smooth, relatively bug-free experience. It's not going to get in the way of them understanding why someone would want a dual-screen device in the first place. The second thing that Microsoft needs to do with Surface Duo 2 to make it a success is something that's going to be a little bit controversial with a lot of Surface Duo users, but this is the stance I'm taking, and we can talk about it in the comments. But they have to make Surface Duo 2 competitive with other flagship smartphones. I know Surface Duo 2's not a phone, and I get where you're coming from when people say things like this, but Surface Duo is a phone. And what I mean by that is, you put your SIM in it, you put it in your pocket, you text from it, you call from it, it becomes the camera that you have in your pocket. And I'm sorry if your answer is, I'll just carry two devices. That's unrealistic because Duo 2 will also be in that $1,400 range. And look, if you're hoping that there will be flash sales again, bringing this thing down to $600 after 3 or 4 months, you are rooting for Duo 2 to be the last Surface Duo. So if Duo 2 is a success at $1,400 some odd dollars, it has to compete with other phones because it has to replace the phone that's already in people's pockets. It has to break into the mainstream at least a little bit. There have to be people out there who are deciding between the Z Fold 3 and Surface Duo 2, and they have to at least sometimes choose Surface Duo 2 or this thing will be a failure. And how do you do that? Well, like I said, you have to fix the software. The software has to be on par with other flagships. but so do the features. And while I've argued until I was blue in the face that the Snapdragon 855 has never been the problem with Surface Duo 2, there is a thought in people's mind that if a device is expensive, it must have flagship specs. So the Snapdragon 888, yeah, that's necessary. NFC, yeah, that's necessary. Honestly, 8 gigs of RAM is necessary, and I've talked about this as well until I was blue in the face. But from a optics perspective, maybe that was too little. Maybe we needed to go to 10 or 12 just to convince people this is a flagship phone. This isn't going to fall behind because of the hardware. And speaking of optics, the cameras. This is a huge point of contention. Many people say, I don't care about taking pictures on my Surface Duo. That's not why I bought it. And I get that. However, again, Microsoft intends the Surface Duo 2 to be the only device in your pocket, and that is not going to fly with the normal consumer today if the camera is anywhere near as bad as it was on Duo 1. Surface Duo 2 needs to be able to replace the phone that's in your pocket. And the phone that's in your pocket, that camera kicks the crap out of the camera in that device back there. So Duo 2 has to have a vastly improved camera. And that's something that we're going to get because we are going to get a triple camera setup. We're going to get a telephoto, a wide, and an ultra wide on Surface Duo 2. And if that camera performance, guys, if it's just as good as like a normal OnePlus phone, if it's just good enough, that's going to be a world of improvement over the original Surface Duo. That yes, if all you're doing is posting to Instagram or Facebook every once in a while, I guess, sure, fine. But we have to try to get out of this mindset of what I want is what everyone wants. Because I'm sorry to tell you this, but if that is your perspective, that you thought Surface Duo's camera was sufficient, I'm not telling you that you're wrong because that is your subjective opinion. However, what I'm going to tell you is that you are not just in the minority, you are in like the tiniest of minorities. Almost no one, modern day, I can go buy a phone for $100 that had a better camera than Surface Duo. No one besides the tiniest of niches would accept the camera on Surface Duo as the camera on a $1,400 device, on a $300 device, let alone a $1,400 device. So just because it was good enough for you in no way means that it was good enough for most people. And honestly, for a $1,400 device, it wasn't good enough ever. And the last thing Microsoft has to do, in my mind, to make Surface Duo 2 a success is they have to keep going. They cannot release this device and then over the next 6-8 months release inconsequential software update after inconsequential software update. They cannot keep updating apps and removing things like spanning. They can't keep breaking Duo functionality as they go forward. I just made a video talking about how Samsung on the Z Fold 2 just added all of these awesome features from the Z Fold 3 to the Z Fold 2. Why do I mention this? Because Samsung supports their hardware. And this isn't just Samsung, right? Apple does this. Lots of companies support their hardware after launch and bring new features to old hardware. This isn't a crazy concept. In fact, Google's done this quite a bit as well with some of their Pixel devices. Microsoft has to show a similar level of dedication to their hardware. And yes, this does include bringing Android 11, bringing a new Microsoft launcher experience to the original Surface Duo. That will help Duo 2 be a success down the line. If people that bought the original in 6 months after Duo 2's launch see that, wow, look how much better things are on my Duo. Microsoft really cares about this concept. They're really trying to make it better. That will entice people to buy the next model. I know that sounds crazy because some people would say, why would I upgrade when they're bringing all the new features to the old device? But you're being short-sighted because what that does is it ingratiates yourself to people and it does make you more likely to buy a product from them in the future. So even if that person who bought Duo gets Duo 2 features on their original Duo and doesn't buy Duo 2, they might buy Duo 3 because they're going to think, wow, Microsoft took care of me on my original Duo, so Duo 3 is going to be in good shape for 2 or 3 years afterwards. I can trust them with my money. So guys, to me, those are the primary ways that Microsoft can make Surface Duo 2 an actual success. I'm sure there's a million more things that I've missed. If you want to add some to the comments down below, please do feel free to do so. As always, I will be in those comments discussing things with you guys. The announcement of this device should be happening September the 22nd. I will be live for that event. You can watch me on one screen of your Duo and the Microsoft event on the other screen of your Duo. We'll have a good time reacting and talking about Duo 2 as it comes out. Hopefully, you'll get to see me just nerding the F out the entire time and having a great time. Hopefully, you guys will join me for that. Please do stay tuned for more coverage just like this. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.